Trump wants the Navy to destroy Iranian gunboats that harass U.S. ships. Here's why it doesn't do that. President Donald Trump tweeted Wednesday that he has instructed the U.S. Navy to destroy any and all harassing Iranian gunboats, which is not currently the service's go-to move. "You just don't get to shoot at people for being jackasses," retired U.S. Navy Captain Rick Hoffman, the former commanding officer of a cruiser, told Insider. Military legal experts told Insider that the lawful use of force must be based on the perception of hostile intent, a condition that Trump's order does not take into account. Last week, a swarm of nearly a dozen Iranian gunboats conducted dangerous and harassing approaches against U.S. Navy and Coast Guard vessels, U.S. Naval Forces Central Command revealed. The incident did not escalate to the use of lethal force. "You just don't get to shoot at people for being jackasses," retired U.S. Navy Captain Rick Hoffman, who commanded a cruiser, told Insider. The rules of engagement for the U.S. military are classified, but Hoffman's understanding is that aggressive action can only be taken in instances where hostile intent is perceived by the commanding officer. "They have to demonstrate hostile intent or conduct a hostile act for us to be able to shoot them under the rules of engagement," he explained. "That's the bottom line." Hoffman told Insider that while worrisome maneuvers, harassing behaviors, disregarding the bridge-to-bridge calls are all annoying, such actions are not inherently a threat to a warship and do not necessarily constitute hostile intent. Iran's small boats are manned by hardliners who often drive fast and recklessly around U.S. warships in contested areas, but they are not typically a danger to the crews of the larger American vessels. Military legal experts also said that hostile intent is key to decisions on the use of force. Rules of engagement provide for a captain of a ship to use force if in fact there is evidence of hostile intent toward his ship and his crew, retired U.S. Army Major Gen. John Altenburg Jr., who has decades of experience with military law, told Insider. "The ship's captain always has the right to defend the ship," he explained. Acknowledging that the situation is complicated, he said that what the president said probably goes beyond what the rules of engagement say. Trump's stated order to the Navy appears to eliminate considerations of hostile intent from the equation, as it calls for the destruction of any Iranian gunboat engaging in harassment. Beyond U.S. rules of engagement, there is also the question of how the president's tweet factors into international law. Whether or not using lethal force in response to harassment is legal depends on the nature of the harassment. Eugene Fidel, who served in the U.S. Coast Guard and currently teaches military law at Yale Law School, told Insider. "On one hand, a warship has a right to defend herself from unprovoked attack," he explained. "On the other hand, the use of force must be reasonable and proportionate, so an ex-ante order to destroy, regardless of the nature and severity of the actual threat, goes beyond the bounds of international law." Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Gen. John Hyten said at the Pentagon Wednesday the president's tweet was clear, explaining that we, as the military, have to apply the clear direction from the commander-in-chief into lawful orders that we execute. "What the president said sends a great message to Iran," the general said. "That's perfect. We know how to translate that into our rules of engagement. We don't talk about rules of engagement, but they're based on the inherent right of self-defense."